Well, thank you, Akis, for joining me today, finally. Took us a little bit of time to connect because you've been so busy recently. Let's start with talking about Land of Leopold, though, because that's how we connected. So can you tell me how you got involved with Chris in the project?
Sure. The producer of the film, Matt Halderman and his company, Buffalo 8, I'd known him for quite some time, and we've been good friends for a few years now.
Okay.
And I was brought on by Matt to DP the project.
Okay.
And Chris and Drake were thinking about acting and directing the movie.
Oh, wow.
But then they felt very comfortable with me actually taking on both duties. And that's how it came about.
Okay.
It wasn't something that initially I thought it was going to happen, and it never crossed my mind, but kind of discussions, this and that, and they felt very comfortable and wanted me to do it.
Right.
That's how it happened.
What was it like wearing those two hats, though, at the same time?
It was, that was the first time I ever directed and DP'd. That was the first time that I ever directed a movie. I've done some short films back in college, but nothing.
Right.
A long feature.
Right.
I've done a lot of work as a DP. I've done over 20, 25 feature films, and lots of music videos, commercials. So, very comfortable with that side of things. But,
right.
Doing them together was definitely challenging. It wasn't anything new in terms of trying to figure out the shots or the blocking, because I do that on any project that I do. But just talking to actors, that was the I would say the only difference for me, and then being involved in the editing.
Okay.
It was definitely more work on both sides, but on set it didn't feel like I was doing a whole lot more than I normally do.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, because when you're a director of photography, you're not so much involved in the editing process as you are when you're
editing at all. Yeah.
Right.
So once I wrap the project as a DP, I'm pretty much done with the project, besides doing a little bit of color work when the project is all complete.
Right.
So what I enjoyed about this process was that I was kind of able to oversee the entire film from beginning to end.
Right.
And the post side was the one that was like really different for me, like being involved in sound design and music and choosing tracks and the right things for the movie on that side of things.
Right.
And of course the editing.
Yeah. So. And bravo, because it really is a wonderful movie. The cinematography is just astounding. I mean, it really is something special to see. I was telling Chris and Drake that one of the things I loved about the film, I mean, there's a lot of things I enjoyed about it, but one of the things I loved is in the beginning it kind of draws you in immediately emotionally to the story. I mean, some films it takes a little while to get there and to really connect with the lead or lead characters. I felt like this film, it was instant. In the first few minutes, you really connect with him.
Yeah. That was definitely, that's always a part of, me shooting a movie, where, as a DP, trying to talk with the director and finding out who is our main character, and then how do we show his point of view the best we can visually. Right. So that people connect with that character.
Right.
If the audience doesn't connect with the character you're doing it with, then you pretty much movie.
Right.
And doing that visually is basically my job as a DP. And I tried to transfer that onto this project.
Right.
And also added a little bit of voiceover in the beginning, just so we get to know him even better.
Right. I was just going to say, because those first few minutes there, without giving anything away, it really is, it's not like there's dialogue that's drawing you in. It really is image-based in terms of the different angles and what you see. And that's the part that one of the...
Yeah, very limited dialogue, and we just try to show everything through his point of view.
Right.
Just telling the whole story, at least in the first 5 minutes.
Right.
To do that. I mean, of course, we do that later on in the movie as well, but really
Right.
in the beginning, just to kind of grab the audience and really empathize with them.
Right. What would you say were some of your favorite moments in filming? I think you guys had a very short filming schedule.
Yeah, it was
so
only 18 days.
Yeah.
Which seems like it's become the standard nowadays in
Yeah.
independent filmmaking, which is something else. So the favorite
Moments filming,
filming.
with the cast, or just
Yeah.
maybe some things that happened that you were pleasantly
It's
surprised.
actually been a while.
Yeah.
It's been
a couple years
over
now,
3
right?
3 years. It's
Yeah.
been over 3 years that we filmed it. But yeah, we had a lot of memorable moments. We were filming at this lake. That's where they all
Mhm.
go, the 3 of them at some point in the movie. And that lake was nowhere near any access roads or
Oh wow.
parking lots or anything like that. So we had to park the trucks and all the gear about a mile away, and then he was basically hiking with the gear over rocks and over creeks and
Right.
getting what we really needed over there. So it was
Right.
pretty bare bones. It was just a camera that was all handheld and
Wow.
a few bounce boards and floppies and diffusions, and that was it. We had also a lot of scenes that I wanted to do in the rain, but not only in the rain, but also during dusk. So that was a lot of challenging to figure out logistically,
Right.
scheduling wise, and actor wise how we're going to achieve that, because during dusk you only have about 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes if you're lucky
Mhm.
of filming time. And then after those 30 minutes, you've lost the light.
Right.
So to shoot during that narrow window, along with fake rain, that was pretty challenging.
Right.
So there were 3 scenes in the movie that were shot over 2 or 3 days. So we broke them up so we could shoot during that time. And then we're filming in a very small town in Texas.
Mhm.
And obviously we don't have a lot of film support.
Right.
But we tried to get a water truck, which would be a normal thing to get out here for a movie to create fake rain.
Right.
And Matt, our producer, was able to get a water truck through someone in the city. It wasn't like the fire department or anything. It was like privately owned or something like that. So the truck showed up, and then we realized there was no water in the water truck. So it came without water. So they had literally half an hour to go fill up the whole water truck and find where they're going to do that, because we're going to lose the light for the dusk scene.
Right.
So that was an interesting.
So you said that this was your first time directing.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing since then? Because I imagine you now have, other projects that you've worked. I mean, with it being 3 years now since then.
Yeah. I had got offered 1 or 2 movies to direct after this one.
Yeah.
I didn't take them on. I didn't feel like it was the right project. They were the right projects for me.
Okay.
That was my first one, and I really liked what Chris and Drake had done with the script, and
Sure.
the story was very interesting to me. I'm more drawn to the artistic European indie movies than
Right.
commercial thriller horror movie.
Right.
So that was the right project for me to do as a first-time director, I felt.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do it again, it would have to be something that, either I come up with a story or someone hands me a script that I really, really respond to.
Sure.
But since then I've just been DPing. That's what I've been doing.
Okay.
Just been DPing. I've done about 8 or 10 more movies.
I was going to say, you've been really busy.
Traveling, went to Texas for a movie, went to West Virginia for a movie. Recently did a movie here in Los Angeles that was a really interesting movie that Kevin Pollak was directing with J.K. Simmons and Maria Bello.
Okay.
And I also got signed on as a director for a commercial company that's based out in New York. It's called Pick on Hudson.
Okay.
And they will be launching starting January 2016.
Nice.
And one of the partners of the company is a great producer. His name is Christos Nikolaou.
Okay.
With a lot of movies present at Sundance the last few years.
Nice.
So I'm very looking forward to that.
Can you, because I'm thinking of the interviews that I've done, I'm not sure if I've actually interviewed anybody that's been a director of photography.
Right.
So, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because if you could give just little, this site is about kind of bringing film experience to film lovers. Sure. Talk a little bit about what a DP does, if you don't mind, like a little...
Yeah, a DP is the one who's responsible for creating the visual style of the film, along with the director and with the production designer.
Right.
So he's in charge of all the technical aspects, and he's in charge of the camera department, and essentially in charge of the electrical side. The gaffer is the one who's really in charge of the electrical department.
Right.
The DP talks with the gaffer in terms of how the scene is going to be lit.
Sure.
And also in charge of the grip department, along with key grip is the head of the key grip department.
Right.
But then also the DP works with the key grip to achieve certain shots, or
sure.
Where the dial is going to go, where the cranes are going to go, and all those things. The DP has basically involved in the movie in 3 stages: pre-production, production, and post-production.
Right.
In pre-production, you work with the director to find the right locations that work for the script, visually, but also technically. Like, is the camera physically going to fit through this doorway?
Right.
Get this shot here, and that's what the DP talks about with the director at the beginning.
Sure.
Or saying, no, the walls that are white, that would not be a good thing for our lighting or for our mood that we're trying to create. So you weigh in visually in all the decisions that need to be made in pre-production, so locations, what equipment need to be rented, what lenses we're going to shoot, what the crew will be. You're in charge of pretty much hiring your people.
Okay.
For all the camera systems, camera operators, gaffers, electricians, key groups. And also breaking down the script with the director in terms of shot listing.
Right, the visual aspect of the script.
Watching references, movies, reading articles, just anything that will get you inspired and help you find the visual language of this specific movie.
Right.
Each movie is different, so you do different work for each movie.
And I think that that's important. That's why I'm glad I asked the question, because some people may think that you're just the guy behind the camera. You know what I'm saying? But but that's the thing, is there's so, and that's exactly what you described. There's so many elements to that job, on a film that you're really you're juggling a lot of balls,
And obviously, working with each director is a completely different experience. Some directors are very specific in terms of what they want to shoot.
Right.
Other directors say, look, I'm more of an actor's director. I want you to take charge of the visual style, but let's talk about it, right? So in those cases, you find yourself shot listing the entire movie yourself. Right. And figuring out the shots.
So there's a little more creative freedom.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends how you look at it, I mean, I like working with all kinds of directors because it's a different journey, it's time, and
sure.
You learn from each person something else.
Yeah.
But I like being able to communicate and have a nice conversation with the director as to what he wants to do and what his references are, and then kind of bringing my own input. Right. Once I know what he's trying to achieve. Yeah. Because there are many different ways you can film a scene, and the way you film it says things about your character, says things about your story, and the audience reacts differently, emotionally, to how you film it. Right. Whether it's going to be crazy handheld, or it's going to be more static. Sure. And there should be a reason for each of those decisions that you're making. Right.
Thank you for answering that question, because it's so much more involved, I think, than people realize.
And I'm just going to briefly add, so that's the pre-production aspect. then the production obviously is the shooting, where
Right.
you execute all your plans and all your ideas that you've had. And you work there with the director, seeing the blocking and having input also in the blocking and how maybe if the actor, instead of going from here to there, he goes from here to this chair, can
Sure.
minimize setup so we can get the date done on time, or he can add a more interesting shot. So I always like to give some notes of blocking to the director, if, and then it's up to them if they want to take them on or not.
Right.
So it's the shooting, and then post-production is you're involved in color. So
Oh, okay.
going and sitting down with the colorist and you're supervising the color correction process.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering in post what
Yeah.
did it, okay, that makes sense. So you have some things coming up,
Yeah.
right? You've got some stuff
Yeah, I'm
starting the new
actually
year.
taking off to go to Minnesota in about 10 days
Okay.
for a movie.
Ooh, nice and chilly.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie for next year.
Oh, fun. Okay.
So I'm going to be DPing that movie.
Now, and really quickly, you had mentioned in terms of directing that you want to direct with films that you're drawn to, like you said with Land of Leopold.
Sure.
You also briefly mentioned writing. Is that something that you plan to do in the future? Just don't know?
Definitely no writing for me. Not a strong suit for me, and not very interested in that. Coming up with ideas, yes.
Right.
Having a good writer that.
Right. Then you'd be on board with directing a
no
project
writing,
like that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But at the moment, I really enjoy DPing.
Yeah.
I like that a lot, and I definitely do want to direct again.
Yeah.
If it comes up and if everything falls in the right place at
Right.
the right time, then yeah, it could happen.
Well, I tell you, like I said before, and I mentioned it to Chris and Drake, and even in social media, that again the cinematography was just, I don't know. I had mentioned to the guys, I was like, the way Akis was able to capture, like just in terms of the lighting, some of those moments are just, it was perfect.
Thank you.
It was
We did
just
do
exceptional.
A lot of, natural lighting, actually.
Yeah.
This one, just because being the director, that was one of the nice things. I was able to have a say on what exactly we're going to shoot.
Sure.
The scene.
Right.
A lot of the times, even when I'm just DPing and I offer that suggestion, they might take half of it or a quarter of it, or because how the schedule works out. But
Right.
being that the director, I actually had the control to shoot when I wanted to shoot certain scenes and allocate the time that I wanted for certain scenes, and
No, it was great. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.